Hello, I'm Mark Bernardi with Dark Horse Comics. Today I'm going to be talking about a few of our upcoming fall titles that we feel should be on the radar of every librarian who curates graphic novel sections. Before I get into that, I'd like to get in a quick plug for our librarian resource page on our website, which is at darkhorse.com/libraries. There you can sign up for our librarian-focused newsletter, and you'll also find lots of downloadable PDFs with title information, samplers of graphic novels, and essential reading lists and the like. Also, I wanted to tell you, if you ever have questions you can't find answers to, or want to inquire about potential help with a comics event at your library, please just email us at tradesales@darkhorse.com. Now, to talk about some graphic novels. First up, it's the Unique Universe. In January of this year, Dark Horse announced a new partnership with Unique Studios. Unique Studios was founded in 2012 by Roy Akupe. Born in Lagos, Nigeria, Roy is an award-winning filmmaker, author, speaker, and entrepreneur whose passion for comics led him to found Unique Studios. His mission, simply put, was to publish extraordinary stories by African creators inspired by African history, culture, and mythology. The first releases, which I'm presenting today, combine editions Unique published themselves in recent years. So they may be familiar to you, but they received very limited distribution and will be completely new to most readers. In the spring of 2022, we'll start releasing all new series, as well as future volumes of the series I'm introducing today. So now to get to the initial titles themselves. First up, it's Malaika, Warrior Queen. This is the tale of Queen and military commander Malaika, who struggles to keep the peace in her ever-expanding empire of Azaz. This action-packed story is a historical fantasy set in 15th century West Africa. It comes out in September and combines the first two Malaika graphic novels originally published by Unique. This new Dark Horse edition will also include two bonus short stories as well as a new behind-the-scenes section. Volume 2 will be released in December. I have a few pages from Volume 1 to show you here. As you can see, it's a very exciting action-packed story. Malaika and the other two titles from the Unique line I'm presenting here today are appropriate for ages 12 and up. The next title is Ianu, Child of Wonder. Ianu, a teenage orphan with no recollection of her past, discovers that she has the abilities that rival the ancient deities told of in folklore. These abilities are the key to bringing back an age of wonders and saving the world from the corrupt, a cursed group of wildlife and strange divine beasts determined to destroy humanity. Ianu is a great young female protagonist, and as you can see in these example pages, the story is told with very engaging, interesting art and has lots of action. The third title in our launch of the Unique line is EXO, The Legend of Wale Williams, Volume 1. This is the story of the oldest son of a world-renowned scientist named Wale Williams, aka tech-savvy superhero EXO, trying to save Lagoon City from a deadly group of emerging extremists. But before this pending superhero can do any good for his city, there's one person he must save first, himself. EXO, The Legend of Wale Williams, is an Afrofuturist superhero story about redemption set in the bustling metropolis that is Lagos, Nigeria. And like all the titles in this line, the entire creative team is also from Nigeria. As you can see in these example pages, EXO, among these three titles, is definitely the closest to a traditional American superhero type story. Next, I'd like to briefly talk about three new titles in one of our most popular lines, Stranger Things, based, of course, on the massively popular Netflix series. First up, it's Stranger Things Erica the Great, coming out in late November. This is the latest Stranger Things graphic novel created with middle grade readers in mind. As with the first two in this category, first was called Zombie Boys, the second was called The Bully. This focuses on the younger characters from the show and is written and drawn with a younger audience in mind. We don't categorize these as juvenile titles as per se, but they are aimed more at the middle grade reader than the scarier and more intense collections of the ongoing comic series. Erica the Great is the story of an ambitious, bossy, and brilliant 10-year-old dealing with boredom and the complexities of maintaining friendships as she helps her frenemy who has lost her mother's prized parakeet. And speaking of the scarier collections of our ongoing comics, this fall we're releasing the first 2 library editions in our Stranger Things line. Our library editions, to be clear, do not have library bindings, but they are oversized, beautiful hardcovers that collect 1 or more stories originally published as trade paperbacks. In September, Volume 1 comes out, which collects 2 coming-of-age stories focused on the core group of kids, The Other Side, which was our first Stranger Things graphic novel, as well as Science Camp. The second library edition comes out in November and includes the graphic novel 6 and Into the Fire, both of which focus on the clairvoyant teens who are victims of the mysterious experiments at the government lab in the show. In the spirit of horror classics such as Carrie, these tales explore what it means to have power and include everything from teen romance to pyrokinetic rampages. These library editions are appropriate for ages 12 and up, whereas Erica the Great, we feel, is appropriate for ages 10 and up. Next, I'd like to tell you about 2 new titles inspired by the mega popular video game Overwatch. The first is a new expanded edition of the Overwatch anthology, a book which has sold more than 100,000 copies to date. This new edition contains more than 50 additional pages of comics expanding on the stories and characters from the game. It's appropriate for ages 14 and up. The second new Overwatch title is Overwatch Tracer, London Calling. This graphic novel is written by acclaimed writer Mariko Tamaki with art by artist Babs Tarr. It focuses on the character Tracer, who is one of, if not the most popular character from the game, who also has become an LGBTQ icon since it was revealed she is a lesbian in the pages of earlier Dark Horse comics, which are collected in the Overwatch anthology. As you can see, it's appropriate for ages 14 up, and as you can see from the pages here, it has great art, and it's a very fun and action-packed story. The next title is Neil Gaiman's Chivalry, the latest in our Neil Gaiman library of comic adaptations of his work. Chivalry is a delightfully humorous and sweet fantasy story brought to you by the same Eisner Award-winning team from the best-selling take on the Snow White story, Snow Glass Apples, writer Neil Gaiman and artist Colleen Duran. In this tale, an elderly British widow buys what turns out to be the Holy Grail from a secondhand shop, which sets her off on an epic visit from an ancient knight. To wind things up, I want to tell you about a new series of new editions of Frank Miller's classic crime comics, Sin City. Frank Miller is widely considered a living legend, has been one of the most acclaimed and recognizable names in comics since the 1990s, known for Batman the Dark Knight, 300, and many more. The Sin City titles are masterpieces of hard-boiled crime that have engrossed readers for nearly 3 decades. They've inspired two feature films and have sold millions of copies over the years, but they have been out of print as trade paperbacks and hard to find for the last couple of years. Each of the 4th edition trade paperbacks will be printed at their original comic book dimensions and will feature all new wraparound cover art. You can see the covers of these first 2 books and the wraparound cover art on the slide here. Each volume includes all the cover and pinup galleries and any other extras that were in previous editions. And additionally, Sin City Volume 1 will also include an exclusive sketchbook of never before published development art. Volume 1 will come out in October, followed by Volume 2 in December, and Volumes 3 through 7 in the coming year or so. Last, I do need to emphasize that these are hard-boiled crime stories appropriate for mature readers only. That's my time, and I'd like to thank you very much for listening and for all your support of Dark Horse over the years.